Hey guys, what is up this day? How you fine, folks? Doing this fine. Fine. Well, day to day. Today is going to be a slightly different kind of stream, I think. One of our burritos is good. Good for the soul, but probably not good for the heart. Probably not. But today, I kind of thought that since this is day where we take off our glasses, maybe I may have to put them back on. I don't know. We'll have to see, because I'm nearsighted. So, but I am thinking what I'm going to do today is, rather than sit there and play games, or whatever. Come on, we're going to sit here and we're going to have some fun, since the most wonderful thing about Tiggers is I'm the only one. Okay, I'm making sure that, okay, yeah, I guess not, okay. Whatever, cool, I'm good with that. I kind of thought, I usually don't do this kind of stream usually, but I think what I'm thinking about doing is I think I'm going to attempt to do some scary stories. Weird as that is, as I am doing that weird thing. Yeah, we're gonna try that. Like as an example, I have 3 books with me there that we could kind of go off of. You know, like whether it's scary. Yeah, I mean they're a collection really. First one was this old book that I got many years ago. This one was originally my sister's, The Headless Roommate and Other Tales of Terror. Yeah, this book used to be like, as you can kind of tell by the age of it, probably not exactly the best condition book, but to be honest, it's lasted me this long and it's old. It's one of those kind of books that you could kind of sit there and smell that. You can kind of tell that, you know, obviously you guys can't sit there and smell it, but one of those kind of books that when you kind of smell it, you can tell it's old, not just by the look, but even if you had your eyes closed, yeah, it's kind of old. It's kind of has just that old smell, you know, not kind of almost a paperback, that musty paperback smell, you know, super, yeah, because like I said, this was my sister's, and I remember wanting this thing when she still had it in her bookcase. I used to love pulling it out, and like I'd go into a room while she was there and I'd hang out and I would sit there and read this thing, and or have her read it or whatever. It was just so fun. And then I have another book. I'm sure many of you from probably my generation approximately will remember something like this: Scary Stories Treasury, where it comes with these 3. Was it Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark? This one here. This is the one I had. I think this was the only one I ever had in terms of paperback. And then there was this one here. Was it More Stories to Tell in the Dark? I don't think I ever had this one up until I got this book. And then Scary Stories 3. Now I remember this one. Yeah, I don't remember this one either. Because again, like I said, I only owned that first one. I want to see, is there something here? Well, let's see, hold on. Let's see, ooh, reading aloud. Yeah, see, because the thing is, since I've never done this kind of stream before, I am trying to, scary? Ooh, okay. Okay. Oh, darn. That's no good. I was thinking like trying to see if I can get any kind of for the category, get a good category going here for stream. Why it's not working? Okay, update history. Let's see if we can let's hit F5. I want to make sure that the stream is okay. Okay. Well, whatever. It looks like it looks like the stream strength is kind of all over the place today, which kind of sucks a little bit, but I know there's unfortunately not a whole lot I can do about that. And then, so, something about maybe we could read something from here too. And then the last one was the 500 best urban legends ever. Kind of what it looks like. Unfortunately, this was a some library book apparently at first. Oh, actually, hold on. Let me grab something. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. Okay, let me just gotta plug in my phone real quick. Yeah, because even though I don't need my phone or anything, like I do like making sure it's here because it helps me keep track of those who are watching. Because if you're gonna sit there and stalk me while I'm streaming, I want to stalk you in return. Yeah, because I have a second screen over here to my right where I can kind of watch the chat. And originally, when I had just one screen, yeah, I would just use this as my chat. But in this case, I like to actually have this so I can look at who's kind of watching at the time. That's always kind of nice. It's always kind of nice. Anyway, but the point though is that eventually, oh yeah, that's right. I was gonna say this thing. Like with this, is the stream not going very well? Oh, well, I mean, maybe that's one reason. Because here on my phone, I forgot that it didn't have it on Wi-Fi. I hope this stream is strong. I hope so, because this is not going to make for a very good first time let's read, kind of a stream. So, yeah, that could be somewhat dangerous. Anyway, oh yeah, that's where I was going with this. I keep going all over the place. But yeah, these have probably this like super short things. So like as an example, like how you have these short things, these different deals. So it's like so they're not a whole lot of like not very deep stories. They're just meant to be there, just be like, oh wow, that's interesting. Oh, that's kind of a fun story or whatever. But I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm going to get to, I don't know if I'm going to be doing all these in one stream, but I'm thinking what we could do is we start off with just something. Well, because and plus this is a good test for me too, because I don't know how well these kind of streams will be, and I don't know how well I'm going to do, because I mean, I remember I used to enjoy reading a lot when I was a little younger, but unfortunately, I haven't read as much, and I'm not the best when it comes to reading out loud. So, but I thought, well, I don't know how often I'm going to be doing these. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing like chill streams or just talking and bullshitting or whatever, like kind of like what I'm doing now. I'm kind of extending the stream longer than I should without getting down to the point of. There we go. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Anyway, so yeah, but I think for now we're gonna go ahead and maybe start with some of these here. Let's see here. Let's see. So this chapter, where I'm just going from like page 1 sort of thing here. This particular section of the book, this chapter is filled with jump scares, and you can use to make your friends jump with frights. All right, so this first tale of horrible, horrifying terror is called the big toe. Sorry. A boy was digging at the edge of the garden when he saw a big toe. This is basically what he saw. He tried to pick it up, but it was stuck to something. I wonder what. So he gave it a good hard jerk. Sorry. And it came off in his hand. Did it now? Then he heard something groan and scamper away. Oh my God. Oh my God. Anyway, okay. I gotta try to not be so like, you know what I mean. The boy took the toe into the kitchen and showed it to his mother, as any normal child probably would. It looks nice and plump, she said. I'll put it in the soup, and we'll have it for supper. I shouldn't be chewing on Doritos as I'm trying to read. That night, his father carved the toe into 3 pieces. As if, yeah, that's a totally normal thing. And they each had a piece. Then, they did the dishes, and when it got dark, they went to bed. Sorry. Piece of Dorito got caught in my throat. Okay. The boy fell asleep almost at once, but in the middle of the night, a sound awakened him. It was something out in the street. It was a voice, and it was calling to him. Where is my toe? It groaned. When the boy heard that, he got very scared. But he thought, it doesn't know where I am. It will never find me. Then he heard the voice once more, only now it was closer. Where is my toe? It groaned. The boy pulled the blankets over his head and closed his eyes. I'll go to sleep, he thought. When I wake up, it'll be gone. But soon he heard the back door open, and again he heard the voice. Where is my toe? It groaned. When the boy heard footsteps move through the kitchen into the dining room, into the living room, into the front hall. Then slowly they climbed the stairs. Okay. Just making sure that it seems good. Okay. Closer and closer they came. Soon they were in the upstairs hall. Now they were outside his door. Where's my toe? The voice groaned. His door opened, shaking with fear. He listened as the footsteps slowly moved through the dark towards his bed. Then they stopped. Where is my toe? The voice groaned. You got it! Was it scary? I hope so, because that sure scared me. I'm shaking, y'all. It says, the toe, well, that was in the story, by the way. But it does say, the big toe also has another ending. When the boy hears the voice calling for its toe, he finds a strange-looking creature up inside the chimney. The boy is so frightened he can't move. He just stands there and stares at it. Finally, he asks, well, what, you've got such big eyes? Or what you got such big eyes for? And the creature answers, to look you through and through. What do you got such big claws for? To scratch up your grave. Not super scary. Well, What have you got such a big mouth for? To swallow you whole. What do you have? What do you have got such sharp teeth for? To chomp your bones. As you give, then this is when you're supposed to give the last line. Whoa, this last line. You're supposed to pounce on one of your friends. Yeah, awesome, huh? Okay, so this next one. I saw something in my hair. I'm too sexy for my hair or something. This one's called The Walk. My uncle was walking down a lonely dirt road one day. He came upon a man who was also walking down the road. The man looked at my uncle, and my uncle looked at the man. The man was scared of my uncle, and my uncle was scared of the man. But they kept on walking, and it began to get dark. The man looked at my uncle, and my uncle looked at my man, or at the man. The man was very scared of my uncle, and my uncle was very scared of that man. But they kept on walking, and they came to a big woods. It was getting darker, and the man looked at my uncle, and my uncle looked at the man. The man was really scared of my uncle, and my uncle was really scared of that man. But they kept on walking, and deeper down into the woods they went. It was getting darker, and the man looked at my uncle, and my uncle looked at the man. The man was terrible scared of my uncle, and my uncle was terrible scared of him. Pretty cool, huh? That was literally the whole story. That was that whole story. Okay. This next story is called "What Do You Come For?" Okay. There was an old woman who lived by herself, and she was very lonely. Sitting in the kitchen one night, she said, "Oh, I wish I had some company." No sooner had she spoken than down the chimney tumbled 2 feet, from which the flesh had rotted, because that's totally normal. The old woman's eyes bulged with terror. Then 2 legs dropped to the hearth and attached themselves to the feet. Then a body tumbled down, and 2 arms and a man's head. Because again, absolutely, totally normal. Totally normal. As the old woman watched, the parts came together into a great gangling man. The man danced around and around the room. Faster and faster he went. Then he stopped and looked into her eyes. "What do you come for?" she asked in a small voice that shivered and shook. "What do I come for?" I said. I said, whatever. He said, "I come for you." And that was that. That was that story. Again, these are all stories that, you're supposed to look at jump scares for, I guess. I don't know how many more of these jump scares I'm necessarily going to want to be reading, because if we all know that the stories are always going to be, end in screaming, it's not exactly the most fun thing. So I'll do one more. Let's see. Okay. A man who lived in Leeds. There was a man who lived in Leeds. He filled his garden full of seeds. And when his seeds began to grow, it was like a garden filled with snow. But when the snow began to melt, it was like a ship without a belt. And when the ship began to sail, it was like a bird without a tail. And when the bird began to fly, it was like an eagle in the sky. And when the sky began to roar, it was a lion at my door. And when the door began to crack, it was like a penknife in my back. And when my back began to bleed, I was very dead, dead, dead indeed. Amazing. Super, super scary. That was so scary. I just couldn't believe it. All right. So then we have, let's see. Hold on. Okay, so it looks like we have a new chapter. I know there's one or two of those things I didn't read in the last chapter. I'm tired of the whole jump scare thing, to be honest. They were never my favorite. No, not really. Okay, so this one, so in this chapter, there are ghosts. One comes back as a real person, another takes revenge on her murderer, and there are other strange happenings. This story is called The Thing. Ted Martin and Sam Miller were good friends. They spent a lot of time together. On this particular night, they were sitting on a fence near the post office, talking about one thing and another. There was a field of turnips across the road. Suddenly they saw something crawl out of the field and stand up. It looked like a man, but in the dark it was hard to tell for sure. Then it was gone. But soon it appeared again. It walked halfway across the road. Then it turned around and went back into the field. Then it came out a third time and started toward them. By now, Ted and Sam were scared, and they started running. But when they finally stopped, they decided they were being foolish. Yeah, foolish for not stopping, or foolish for stopping. I mean, you know that in stories like this, it's never going to end good, and well, at all. They weren't sure what had scared them, so they decided to go back and get a better look. Pretty soon they saw it, for it was coming to meet them. It was wearing black pants, a white shirt, and black suspenders. Sam said, "I'm going to try to touch it, because, that's what most sane, normal people would probably do. Then we'll know if it's real." But he walked up to it and peered into its face. He had bright, penetrating eyes sunk deep in its head. It looked like a skeleton. Ted took one look and screamed, and again he and Sam ran. But this time the skeleton followed them. When they got to Ted's house, they stood in the doorway and watched it. It swayed out in the road for a while, then it disappeared. A year late, Ted got sick and died. Toward the end, Sam sat up with him every night. The night Ted died, Sam said he looked just like the skeleton. Oh man, I don't know. I'm super scared, guys. So scared I need some chips. Yep. So scared. Want to be careful. I don't want to try to touch the book and get Dorito smudges on the pages. Probably wouldn't be good. Nope. Probably wouldn't. One. Okay. The farmer. Okay, this one's called Cold as Clay. The farmer had a daughter for whom he cared more than anything on earth. She fell in love with a farmhand named Jim, but the farmer did not think Jim was good enough for his daughter. To keep them apart, he sent her to live with her uncle on the other side of the country. Soon after she left, Jim got sick and he wasted away and died. Everyone said he died of a broken heart. The farmer felt so guilty about Jim's death, he could not tell his daughter what had happened. She continued to think about Jim and the life they might have had together. One night, many weeks later, there was a knock on her uncle's door. When the girl opened the door, Jim was standing there. "Your father asked me to get you," he said. "I came on his best horse." "Is there something wrong?" She asked. "I don't know," he said. She packed a few things and they left. She rode behind him, clinging to his waist. Soon he complained of a terrible headache. "It aches something terrible," he told her. She put her hand on his forehead. "Why, you are as cold as clay," she said. "I hope you are not ill." And she wrapped her handkerchief around his head. They traveled so swiftly that in a few hours they reached the farm. From being across the country, only a few hours? Huh. Okay. The girl quickly dismounted, and they knocked on the door. Her father was startled to see her. "Didn't you send for me?" he said, or she said. "No, I didn't," he said. She turned to Jim, but he was gone, and so was the horse. They went to the stable to look for him. Okay, sorry. The horse was there. It was covered with sweat and trembling with fear, but there was no sign of Jim. Terrified, her father told her the truth about Jim's death, then quickly went to see Jim's parents. They decided to open his grave. The corpse was in its coffin, but around its head they found the girl's handkerchief. Dun, dun, dun. Guys, that is some scary ass shit right there. So scared. You don't see it because I'm able to control my physicalness, but I'm absolutely shaking with fear right now. This is me being scared. Yep. Anyway, the next story. The next story is called The White Wolf. The timber wolves around French Creek had gotten out of hand. There were so many wolves, the farmers could not stop them from killing their cattle and sheep. So the state put a bounty on them. It would pay a hunter $10 for every wolf pelt he turned in. There we go. I was going to say something happened here with my thing. A butcher in town named Bill Williams thought that it was pretty good money. He stopped working as a butcher and started killing wolves. He was good at it. Every year he killed over 500 of them. That came to more than $500. It was quite a bit of money in those days. After 4 or 5 years, Bill had killed so many wolves there were hardly any left in that area. So he retired, and he vowed never to harm another wolf. There it is, okay. He retired, and he vowed never to harm another wolf, because wolves had made him rich. Then one day a farmer reported that a white wolf had killed 2 of his sheep. He had shot it and hit it, but the bullets didn't have any effect. Soon that wolf was seen all over the countryside, killing and running, but nobody could stop it. One night he came to Bill's yard and killed his pet cow. Bill forgot about his decision never to harm another wolf. He went into town the next morning and bought a young calf for bait. He took it into the hills and tied it to a tree. Then he backed off about 50 yards and sat under another tree, with his gun in his lap. He waited. When Bill didn't come back, his friends started looking for him. Finally, they found the lamb. It was still tied to a tree. It was hungry, but it was still alive. Then they found Bill. He was still sitting against the tree, but he was dead. His throat had been torn open. But there was no sign of a struggle. His gun hadn't been fired, and there was no track in the soil around him. As for the white wolf, it was never seen again. Dun dun dun. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, in the picture of that one, this is what it looked like. Yeah. That's one thing about this book, is that it was always so creepy, the artwork in this book. But come on, But yeah, the artwork in this book was always kind of scary, and I know I'm not the first and only person to think this, because I remember as a kid, especially like the cover here, which actually I guess could be the artwork for this next story. I think, yeah. What the? Okay, yeah, I'm just making sure here. Yeah, I'm okay. Good. I'm still alive. All right, because on my phone it looked like I wasn't alive anymore. It's like what the heck? Okay. Anyway, but yeah, creepy artwork. Especially as a young kid. I know I'm not the only one who thinks that. So anyway, this one is called The Haunted House. One time a preacher went to see if he could put a haunt to rest at a house in his settlement. The house had been haunted for about 10 years. Several people had tried to stay there all night, but they would always get scared out by the haunts. So this preacher took his Bible and went to the house. He went on in, built himself a good fire, and lit a lamp. Sat there reading his Bible. That's the whole sentence. Sat there reading his Bible. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, wow, they could have probably written this just a little bit better. A little bit. Then, just before midnight, he heard something start up in the cellar, walking back and forth, back and forth. Then it sounded like somebody was trying to scream and got choked off. Then there was a lot of thrashing around and struggling, and finally everything got quiet. The old preacher took up his Bible again, but before he could start reading, he heard footsteps coming up the cellar stairs. He sat there watching the door. He sat there watching the door to the cellar, and the footsteps kept coming closer and closer. He saw the doorknob turn, and when the doorknob began to open, he jumped and hollered, "What do you want?" The door shut back easy-like, and there wasn't a sound. The preacher was trembling a little, but he finally opened up the Bible and read a while. Then he got up and laid the book on the chair and went to mend the fire. Then the haunt started walking again, and step, 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 up the cellar stairs. The old preacher sat there watching the door, saw the doorknob turn, and the door opened. He looked out. It looked like a young woman. He backed up and said, "Who are you? What do you want?" And here's the picture. Super, super scary stuff. The haunt sort of swayed like she didn't know what to do. Then she just faded out. The old preacher waited, and when he didn't hear any more noises, he went over and shut the door. He was sweating and trembling all over, but he was a brave man and thought he'd be able to see it through. So he turned his chair to where he could watch, and he sat down and waited. It wasn't long before he heard the haunt start up again. Slowly, step, 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 closer and closer, step, step, and it was right at the door. The preacher stood up and held his Bible out before him. Then the knob slowly turned, and the door opened wide. This time the preacher spoke quiet-like. He said, "In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, who are you, and what do you want?" The haunt came right across the room, straight to him, and took a hold of his coat. It was a young woman about 20 years old. Her hair was torn and tangled, and the flesh was dropping off her face so he could see the bones and a part of her teeth. She had no eyeballs, but there were a sort of blue light way back in her eye sockets, and she had no nose to her face. Then she started talking. It sounded like her voice was coming and going with the wind blowing it. She told how her lover had killed her for her money and buried her in the cellar. She said it was if the preacher would dig up her bones and bury her properly, she could rest. Then she told him to take the end joint of the little finger from her left hand and to lay it in the collection plate at the next church meeting, and he'd find out who had murdered her. And she said, "If you come back here once more after that, you'll hear my voice at midnight, and I'll tell you where my money is hid, and you can give it to the church." The haunt sobbed like she was tired, and she sunk down toward the floor and was gone. The preacher found her bones and buried them in the graveyard. The next Sunday the preacher put the finger in the collection plate, and when a certain man happened to touch it, it stuck to his hand. Because I'm sure that would be normal to see a finger in the collection plate as it's being passed around the congregation. Just, again, little things that you probably don't really think of, when you're a kid and you're reading this stuff. The man jumped up and rubbed and scraped and tore at that bone, trying to get it off. Then he went to scream like he was going crazy. Well, he confessed to the murder, and they took him to jail. After the man was hung, the preacher went back to the house one midnight, and the haunt's voice told him to dig under the hearthstone. He did, and he found a big sack of money. And when the haunt had held onto his coat, the print of those bony fingers was burned right into the cloth. It never did come out. Super scary. Yep. After all, I'm scared. Like I said, I'm so super scared. Okay. Come on. All right. The next one. The next one is called The Guests. A young man and his wife were on a trip to visit his mother. Usually they arrived in time for supper, but they had gotten a late start, and now it was getting dark. So they decided to look for a place to stay overnight and go on in the morning. Just off the road, they saw a small house in the woods. Maybe they rent rooms, the wife said, so they stopped to ask. That's horribly suspicious at this point. That's a very, very suspicious thing to have happen. Yeah, let's go into that house in the woods. I mean, that's not how any horror story would, start. An elderly man and a woman came to the door. They didn't rent rooms, they said, but they would be glad to have them stay overnight as their guests. They had plenty of room, and they would enjoy the company. The old woman made coffee and brought out some cake, and the four of them talked for a while. Then the young couple were taken to their room. They again explained that they wanted to pay for this, but the old man said he would not accept any money. The young couple got up early the next morning before their hosts awakened. On a table near the front door, they left an envelope with some money in it for the room. Then they went to the next town. They stopped in a restaurant and had breakfast. When they told the owner where they had stayed, he was shocked. Yes, I'm shocked that for some reason I'm getting another. Boy, I must not be getting a very good connection or something, I hope. Gosh. Apparently I'm not getting a very good connection. Yeah, I don't know how much I'm going to be reading because, again, yeah. But anyway. Okay. When they told the owners where they had stayed, he was shocked. That can't be, he said. That house burned down to the ground, and the man and the woman who lived there died in the fire. The young woman could not believe it, so they went back to the house. Only now there was no house. All they found was a burnt-out shell. They stood staring at the ruins to understand what had happened. Then the woman screamed. In the rubble was a badly burned table, like the one they had seen by the front door. On the table was the envelope they had left that morning. Here's another classic. Here's another classic deal that I'm sure a lot of us may or may not have heard, especially growing up as kids. But we have the hearse song. We'll have to turn on some Doritos. Okay. There we go. Okay. The hearse song. Don't you ever laugh as the hearse goes by, for you may be the next to die. They wrap you up in a big white sheet from your head down to your feet. They put you in a big black box and cover you up with dirt and rocks. All goes well for about a week. Then your coffin begins to leak. The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out. They eat your eyes, they eat your nose. They eat the jelly between your toes. A big green worm with rolling eyes crawls in your stomach and out your eyes. Your stomach turns into a slimy green, and pus pours out like whipping cream. You spit it on a slice of bread, and that's what you eat when you are dead. Yeah, totally super scared. I'm like so scared right now. I just can't believe it. Okay. And here's another one called the Girl. Oh, I see. And then plus two, it actually has a song that you could do too. So yeah, that'd be kind of interesting. I think I have a nephew and my dad also plays music, so maybe they'd be able to play that. Doritos, man, you just can't have one. Nope. Nope. Yeah, wow. That connection. I'm watching my video preview. My God, at least I hope my voice is coming through. I hope I don't want to turn up too much on my phone or anything because I don't know. I don't want to have you guys hear the repeat. Anyway, though, I'm just gonna try to keep going here. This one is called "The Girl Who Stood on a Grave." Some boys and girls were at a party one night. There was a graveyard down the street, and they were talking about how scary it was. "Don't ever stand on a grave after dark," one of the boys said. "The person inside will grab you. He'll pull you under." "That's not true," one of the girls said. "It's just a superstition." "I'll give you $1 if you stand on a grave," said the boy. "A grave doesn't scare me," said the girl. "I'll do it right now." The boy handed her his knife. "Stick this knife in one of the graves," he said. Then we'll know you were there." The grave was filled with shadows, and was as quiet as death. There was nothing to be scared of. "Oh, there's nothing to be scared of," the girl told herself. But she was scared anyway. She picked out a grave and stood on it. Then quickly she bent over and plunged the knife into the soil. And she started to leave. But she couldn't get away. Something was holding her back. She tried a second time to leave, but she couldn't move. She was filled with terror. Terror. "Something's got me!" she screamed, and she fell to the ground. When she didn't come back, the others went to look for her. They found her body sprawled across the grave. Without realizing it, she plunged the knife through her skirt and had pinned it to the ground. It was only the knife that held her. She had died of fright. So scary. All right. Okay, this one is called A New Horse. Two farmhands shared a room. One slept at the back of the room. The other slept near the door. After a while, the one who slept near the door began to feel very tired. Early in the day, His friend asked what was wrong. An awful thing happens every night, he said. A witch turns me into a horse and rides me all over the countryside. I'll sleep in your bed tonight, his friend said. We'll see what happens to me. At midnight, an old woman who lived nearby came into the room. She mumbled some strange words over the farmhand, and he found he couldn't move. Then she slipped her bridle on him, and she turned him into a horse. Next thing he knew, she was riding him across the field at breakneck speed, beating him to make him go even faster. Soon they came to a house where a party was going on. There was a lot of music and dancing. They were having a big time inside. She hitched him to a fence and went in. While she was gone, the farmhand rubbed against the fence until the bridle came off, and he turned back into a human being. Then she went into the house and found the witch. He spoke those strange words over her, and with the bridle he turned her into a horse. Then he rode her to a blacksmith and had her fitted with horseshoes. After that he rode her into the farm where she lived. I've had a pretty good filly here, he told her husband, but I need a stronger horse. Would you like to trade? The old man looked her over and said he would do it. So they picked out another horse, and the farmhand rode away. Her husband led the new horse to the barn. He took off the bridle and went to hang it up. But when he came back, the new horse was gone. Instead, there stood his wife with horseshoes nailed into her hands and feet. Scary stuff. No. This one is called Alligators. A young woman in town married a man from another part of the country. He was a nice fellow, and they got along pretty well together. There was only one problem. Every night he'd go swimming in the river. Sometimes he'd be gone all night long, and she would complain how lonely she was. This couple had 2 sons. As soon as the boys could walk, their father began to teach them how to swim. When they got to be old enough, he took them swimming in the river at night. Often they would stay there all night, and the young woman would stay home all by herself. After a while, she began to act in a strange way. At least, that's what the neighbors said. She told them that her husband was turning into an alligator, and he was trying to turn the boys into alligators. That was a natural thing to do. And when it came to alligators, there just weren't any nearby. Everyone knew that. Early one morning, the young woman came running into town from the direction of the river. She was soaking wet. She said a big alligator and 2 little alligators had pulled her into the river and tried to get her to eat a raw fish. They were her husband and her son, she said, and they wanted her to live with them. But she had gotten away. Her doctor decided she had lost her mind, and he had put her in the hospital for a while. After that, nobody saw her husband and boys again. They just disappeared. But now and then a fisherman will tell about seeing alligators at night, in the river at night. Usually it was a big one with 2 small ones, but people said they were just making it up. Everybody knows there aren't any alligators around here. Yep. Now, there's a whole lot more. I mean, I've read probably about, yay much here. So I wonder, I'm going to say I remember page 46, just in case. Let's see if we can kind of switch things up just a little bit, instead of reading these kind of really cheesy ones. Okay, I'm thinking maybe something this, but actually let me go blow my nose, because it's the whole time I feel like I need to blow my nose. So I just want to be sure. Yeah, so I'll be right back, guys. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of looking over here at OBS, and I'm kind of noticing, the stream strength is not exactly the greatest. So I'm just glad that I'm not streaming like anything super important right now. I just thought it'd be kind of fun to hang out, like red, yellow, green, yellow, red, still red, yellow, red, orange, red, yellow, greenish. Yeah, not the greatest. I probably shouldn't try to stream too long here because I don't want to, make anyone suffer through this terrible thing. Oh, oh my God, yeah, the stream health is just horrible. Um, let's see, let me look here. Oh, come on, man. Oh, yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. I mean, at this point, I have a feeling I may not be able to do much streaming at all because if it's going to be this bad, that's probably not good. Um, yeah, crap, guys. I don't think I'll be able to do the stream because if it's this bad, I want people to enjoy. I want people to be able to enjoy this. So I think I might have to call it. Unfortunately, I don't want to. I would love to be able to keep going. Let's see. That is a bummer. Anyway, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead. I probably should just go ahead and end this here because I have a feeling it looks like the stream's not doing so hot right now. Maybe I'll try like later tonight or something because obviously as some of you may know I'm not home right now. Who knows? Maybe I'll try a different stream when I might actually be. Who knows? I might decide to go outside and stream a little bit. I don't know, like do an IRL or something. Anyway, though, guys, yeah. Thank you so much for joining. I would love to do more, but may have to call it good. So, yeah, thanks for joining. Hopefully I can do more of these scary stories, like in some more streams over the next month. So, anyway, just for shits and giggles and stuff. Anyway, I will see you guys later. Okay. See you guys.